All right, folks, welcome on back here this Tuesday afternoon, shortly after 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Welcome on back here for our afternoon meeting. Had to set up the screen live inside Cybergroup. My apologies to the couple of us on social media early. No audio at first, but great to see everybody. You should have audio now. Great to see all of our students and members alike inside Cybergroup. Ari, who had just closed out a trade on DWAC a moment ago. Have Gary, Lawrence, Michael, Bob, Kevin, loud and clear from them. I was about to ask, where's the ladies at? We have Leda joining us here right now, loud and clear from her. We have Patrick and Phil joining us as well. So great to see everybody. And once again, if you're back on social media, YouTube or Facebook Live, same to be said. So let's hop right into it, folks. We do have to talk a little bit about crypto at the end, so I want to make sure we have enough time for that. But otherwise, for right now, the stock on the screen to begin, the DWAC trade, at least heading into this meeting, it was pushing up really well. So, I don't need to really go any further. I'm just going to put this stock on our watch list to begin, right? Now, I do need to go a bit further because it's not just putting the stock on our list. It's a matter of identifying where the next big set of levels are for this stock. So it ended up just most recently bouncing roughly off of 89, like a bit of a false breakout from that point. We ended up seeing at the time a pretty decent iceberg order at 89 that got filled, but also, and you can imagine this up top at the next dollar level above 89, that being 90. Well, there's a 44,000 share iceberg on the ask right now live at 90 bucks. I don't always have the chance to do this, folks, because a lot of times I'm working from my home office and I have Bookmap here on the office line here. So today I could pull this up. We were finishing up our weekly Traders Talk workshop for all of us in Cybergroup earlier. So I was going over not DWAC, but a couple of others showing Bookmap. And here for the DWAC, we did have resistance off of 87, in which it rebroke above here, had a nasty slip under it, but ended up beginning to push back over that 87. In order for this to have any sort of run, respectable run that we could actually make money on, I mean, it's got to hold 87. That's the play there. I mean, if it just blasts off right from here without even touching 87, again, I'll be pretty happy about that. But otherwise, it wouldn't shock me if this at least pulls back down to the 87, and we'll see where it goes from that point. All right. So let me ask you, this is kind of how we all learn together here, whether you're joining us on Facebook Live or YouTube, or if you're one of our mainstays inside Cybergroup. What stock moves with this DWAC trade? What stock in particular moves with DWAC? There's actually two. It's actually two, but there's one I'm mainly looking for, right? And Bob and Lita, and Alex, Michelle, Chris, Glenn, Patrick, all of us, right? Funware, PHUN, and we've been calling this out, of course, throughout the late morning, early afternoon, and making a really strong push back up right now. Actually, a lot better of a move now compared to compared to earlier. DWAC broke higher just a moment ago. Fun is still making that push to break the HOD, but this is as clean of an uptrend as we've had all day, cleaner than this year even, and hopefully there's a lot more left to this trade as well. So, when we put DWAC on the main list, we got to put Fun on the watch list also. Now, the other stock, I was trying to throw a curveball to us inside the trading room. Later caught that curveball pretty quick though. The CFVI stock, that was also another stock affiliated with DWAC, probably some tie with Trump, and we ended up seeing them make a big pop back in beginning of December. Now this didn't follow DWAC as well as Fun did over that time or even afterwards. So we've been more so trading the first two, but today in particular, CFVI is up, over 7.5% at the HOD right now as we speak. I'd called this out going into either the late morning, the early afternoon, just one time call out there. So late, a nice catch, CFVI there. And actually for right now, it's hard for us to not put this stock as well on our main watch list here for the afternoon. All right, so we have a decent watch list to begin, unless if all three dump off right away. Knocking on wood as I say that. But what we'll just do right now, folks, is go right from top to bottom. We'll, recap any of the other movers that we caught from earlier today. Did I get stopped out on my AMC short? I did. Oh no, I saw the SPY wiggle on up here. It's okay. I went completely break even. But AMC, it wouldn't shock me if I put that in particular on our watch list as well for the afternoon. But let's start right from the top here. BBI, technically number one. That's really cheap. We're not going to follow that one as much. But DATCHAD, DATS, another social media stock, ended up making a nice run here today. But we were familiar with DATS off its IPO. I mean, even going back into September when that happened. So took off from 4, and probably around the same time as we ended up hearing about DWAC and Fun. Hey, this ended up making a move at around the same time, going back into the end of September for all of us that were here in Long Island for the Trader Summit that we do every year. Well, this ended up making a pretty nice run shortly afterwards, if not right then at that time. Ended up popping from there at like 8 all the way up to over 16. And then from that point, obviously, you could see this thing just pulled back down pretty sharply afterwards. So I'll tell you what, I'll tell you on this stock, as I typically do on a former runner. And I could have said the same on DWAC and the other two prior. But if this stock, DATS, can make a fraction of the type of run that it made for us back in mid to late September, then that's all I could ask for, right? I mean, I could ask for less, but I want to, try and find something that can make me a decent amount of money, and this has a good chance of doing that. Already made a nice 34, 30, 40 cent move practically off of $3. So hopefully there's a lot more left to this trade here as well. DATS. All right. Kathleen calling out the IMTE trade at the high of the day right now. I thought that was closer on the top of the gainers list. I guess it fell off a bit. We'll get to that one in just a moment, though. So let's keep going here. Otherwise, the Noro trade. This one chopped me up a tiny bit earlier today. I took 2 tiny losses, like -2, -3. So not chopped up like I lost a lot of money, but I got in afterwards. It ended up beginning to run up pretty nicely after the open. And then when it reopened up from a halt, I tried jumping in right off the opening halt print. I'll try and get that price for you folks here coming up right now. But nonetheless, you could see what happens. Ended up, just shaking around quite a bit, pulled back down. So I'm pretty happy I got out when I did. But it's still like kind of just teasing us here, grinding back on up right now. Hey, I definitely said this on Noro, like I just said previously on the DAT trade. But if this can make a fraction of the type of run it made back in early July, that's all we could ask for here. So it's already up 38%. But, hey, I feel like this has one more run left to it. Now, that big transaction from time and sales, what I call the opening halt print for a stock, right here at 725. $7.25. There was a 233,000 share print filled right at that point. From that point, it ended up coming back down pretty nastily. But 725. There we go. All right. So, if this wants to make the run up higher, it's got to not only break over 725, but first let's worry about 7, whole number level first. All right, so we'll check back in on this one at the end. I feel like this could be on our list here at the end of it all, but let's see if there's anything looking a lot better, like a DATS here, another DATS stock. That would be great. ATVI shouldn't have clicked on this. This was the buyout from this morning. So for a more expensive buyout, well, ended up actually dropping off pretty nicely there. I am sure happy I got stopped out on AMC right now. Oh my goodness, that's beginning to squeeze up. All right, so we keep it going. We keep it moving for right now. And BBIG, I guess you could say it's trying to tease us, but I don't know. It's not really trying to tease me. I feel like this run was over a little while ago, and I haven't really jumped back too much on it since. Actually, right here is when I kind of turned away from it. It was beginning to spike up really well. I was in a coaching session with one of our students earlier today, and we were talking about this setup as far as the potential break above it and expecting the false breakout. Well, from that point, it ended up holding 5 support actually pretty surprisingly well. I wasn't expecting it to even hold as nicely as you're seeing here. So for right now, I'm not particular about it for the sake of, this stock is on its 4th or 5th consecutive run in a row. Probably 6th or 7th green candle altogether in a row. But we're talking day over day over day. You get the long weekend over day run. So, with that, that's where I say at some point, the brakes have to be pressed on this run up. You got to expect to see this begin to shake back down, make a false breakout. And I think that was here. So I'm not too particular about this trade here for the close. As we keep going, if this ends up making like a surprising pop and run, then I'll obviously reconsider. Um, yeah, we'll go from there. MYNZ. I feel like this stock's been popping up more often then it hasn't. So, this stock, we started following this back from last week or even the week before, back on January 5th, and then it dumped off. It was like a really spotty chart, like offered us really nothing. It was like kind of bad. But this thing just keeps going up as a swing trade, though. So I have no idea what this company does. Looks like a relatively new IPO as well. So clearly breaking all-time highs today, but just looking at the spread here, the lack of liquidity altogether right now, it's just ugly. Don't let this be a distraction to you folks going into tomorrow morning, unless, and I have to say this for every stock, unless if the spreads are a lot better, the order book is much more filled in. I'm not expecting that to be the case, but you never know. All right, so we keep it going here. CRDL back-to-back days, back-to-back runs here, day over day, and this is actually at the highs as we speak. The gripe I have on this stock, it's not too big of a gripe at all, but it's just not really trading a whole lot of volume per minute across the whole day, over 2 million shares, and I like that. It's only trading about 3,000 shares per minute right now. Well, if you compare that to the rest of the orders that are out here on the ask, that's actually like, you'd want to see more, but it's to say that the orders on the ask are not that big. I think it's definitely possible for this to break higher later on. So, you know what, I'll put this on our list, kind of slip it towards the bottom for right now, and we'll keep going. IMRN. I didn't know if that was what Kathleen was saying earlier, but she was talking about IMTE, number 17 here. Yeah, this IMRN is not doing good for right now. We'll pass on this. SGBX, spotty chart. I guess we'll go into ISIG. I don't know what happened there because my scanner refreshed there momentarily. ISIG not doing a whole lot either. Popped up earlier, but pulling back now. And here we get to Kathleen's IMTE. So, yeah, looking a lot better than the other ones, Kath, that's for sure. And, the way this is pushing up right now, I would anticipate a false breakout off of 10, the first test there, but definitely looking good. I wish the order book was a bit more filled in, but the way this is moving across the whole day, it's at the highs as I was about to say as we speak, but this thing just took a quick little slip right there. So hopefully there's more to it. I definitely would anticipate a resistance off of 10. All right. So market is trying to eke back up right now. You still have a bunch of inverse ETFs on the gainer side: LABD, UVXY, SOX. Here's our funware trade, which is on our list already. Blink's having a good day. BLNK. Interesting. We haven't seen this stock in quite some time. I mean, really just consistently, I should say, in the trading room. Fell out of our price range going back into the beginning of last year. And, over time hasn't really fell this far. So for right now, Blink, it's up 8+% today. I guess you could say it just made a nice little slingshot off of 25 at first. False breakdown off of 25. Just not too particular. It's not at the highs right now. Order book pretty thin. I'll check back in with this one tomorrow. Would like to keep this on our side list at least. At least this one does tend to trade, some volume in pre-market early each morning. BEKE. This one is making a nice move back up here. I guess you can kind of say this is a similar pattern, not fully, to a somewhat good degree as the Blink trade. For right now, I guess we'll kind of just see what else is out there on the losers list first. That BEKE trade, maybe we'll come back to at the end. All right, so let's jump over to the losers list here. Then we'll check in with all of us on the chat board, see if there's anything else otherwise. BTCM. Bitcoin stock, if I'm not mistaken, which we'll talk about here coming up. But this one in particular, I had to have had some sort of bad news come out or whatnot. Man, this thing's just gotten clobbered today, down over 30%. It was down a lot more earlier as it was at the lows. Wow, this could have been a good dead cat bounce. I would have anticipated the bounce to be off of 3, so I can't tell you that I would have jumped in right here. I probably would not have, but interesting little bounce back up on BTCM. Maybe to keep this on your side list, for tomorrow morning. Who knows? I'll tell you what, a bunch of these otherwise are hard to borrow. You can't get the shares to short them unless if you could try and look for a dead cat bounce maybe on a couple of these, but again, I just want to see if there's any other familiar names or anything that is shortable that I can try and focus on. All of these are just rather expensive, like UL $47, SI $106, BNTX obviously, LABU's an ETF. CSPR is shortable for my platform, and oh, geez, what the heck happened here? Casper Sleep. I remember following them off their IPO, but I haven't followed them in probably a couple of months, few months. I'm assuming this is a buyout. I'm absolutely anticipating this to be a buyout here, this funky gap up and then whatever. But for right now, though, a sharp, sharp drop. It's not at all time lows, clearly, as you could see, but it is making a really good short right now. So, you know what? This Casper trade, I'll put on our watch list. I'll put it above the CRDL. That last one I ended up just going over. All right, we keep it going here, folks. Let's see if there's anything else looking, just as good. Doesn't seem like it. You can just tell based off the names on the loser side, or if they're just not really trading a whole lot of volume, or if they're hard to borrow and you can't get the shares to short them. All right, folks, I'll do 2 rounds. Let me know if there's anything up, down, left, right, more than 5% that you would want me to look at here. I will start off on YouTube, and we'll start off on Grom. One of us had mentioned Grom a moment ago. It's the only issue that I have on this here is that it's not trading enough volume across the entire day. I'm sure this number will increase as we keep talking, right? But I don't know. I just feel like I would want to have a little bit more volume traded at this point. It's moving up for right now, this Grom stock. So maybe after we finish up this meeting, if it has more signs of life on the way up, I'd be more interested. ENSC is popping. This one's showing more volume getting filled over this 4-bar series here. Um, Looks a little bit sharper to me. I don't know about you folks. The ENSC, comparing this to the Grom trade, this looks a little bit sharper in my eye. All right. I'll put this one on our main list. Doesn't look too bad for right now. From Sam inside Cyber Group, he is asking, just finished your level 3 on NASDAQ. I'm looking at BBIG. There is an iceberg of 502,000 shares on the sell side at $5.15. Let's take a look. Well, right now, this BBIG trade is trying to go back up. It's trying to go back up. All right. Am I going to be proven wrong here again for the probably third time in 2 trading days? No, really. We talked about this stock earlier today in our Traders Talk workshop for all of us in social media. It's our weekly workshop we conduct live inside Cyber Group. If you wanted to take part in that weekly, just go right down to the link on the banner below to start up. But, for Sam and Norman, I told you folks, I had egg on my face today when I was expecting a false breakout right here. And well, it went the complete other way. It went completely upward and got halted even. So is this gonna is this gonna make me eat my words yet again? Is this gonna make another pop back up to break above the all important 531 level? On BBIG, that yellow line you see up top is an extremely important level. There is like a 680,000 share print that came in on the tape off of one of its halts. But Sam is asking about 515. He says, was in past tense, and I'll bring up bookmap for this, Sam. This is what we call level 4. So here is exactly what Sam was talking about. Very good eye from Sam. And at the time, like a 500 plus thousand share order, you could see it. Well, it looks like, I don't have the full number, but it looks like the majority of that volume got filled, including a 268,000 share print. So out of that entire iceberg order, there was one singular transaction for 268,000, 269,000. That's nice. So yeah, we're gonna put this back on our watch list. Hopefully, it doesn't crash from here and the party's over. But the way this is looking now, looks very strong. Again, though, 531, I would say, is as important, if not more important, of a level. But very good eye from Sam. Uh, Gino says that CFEI trade moving, so we don't really need to make too big of a list here, do we? Right? We got CFEI already on our watch list. Ari's already picking up 50 or so cents on the DWAC trade right now. So hey, we have a good list here, folks. I do have to go into Bitcoin here. We'll do that here coming up. All right. So again, if there's anything else as we keep going, just let me know. Oh, Skip, I did get your message, your email over the weekend. He was asking about not Dogecoin, but about something called baby Doge, which I have heard about in the past. I don't want to give off the impression that I've never heard of it. I have, but I don't know where I could buy that, Skip. I don't think Binance or Coinbase has that. You might need a. I'm going to figure that out for you. I'll chat you on the side later coming up. I'll do that for you. But let's talk about Bitcoin. Let's talk about the way the market looks altogether and some of the other altcoins or some of the bigger altcoins perhaps. So here's my 6 hour graph, right? 6 hour graph here. We are talking about Bitcoin in particular. Actually, if I can go back to the daily, where we last left off on it was from Friday, as it was beginning to try and inch back up off the 500 EMA from the daily. I did tell you folks I got in just over 41. I added a tiny amount. I wish I added more at the time. But hey, maybe I'll be thinking otherwise coming up throughout this week, because I did say that we were not out of the doghouse yet. I was hoping for anything to begin to see this make a push up higher towards my EMAs on my 6 hour graph. If it wasn't the 6 hour, then it could have been the hour, as we're talking back from Friday. But I was hopeful for some sort of retracement back up towards, and I think it was the hour here, towards the 100 and eventually 200 EMAs. But I didn't think it was going to be an overnight move. So, the way the market looks right now, at least over the last few hours, thankfully a lot better over the last 30 to 45 minutes, but things were beginning to pull back again, right? So we still got to deal with this bit of chop for right now. And if we happen to see the Dow futures open up lower overnight tonight, 6 p.m. Eastern, I would anticipate for Bitcoin to make a move with it, right? So at least from where we left off, I did buy a little bit more off of 41 and change. It's pulling back down there right now. So we'll kind of just follow this 500 EMA here on Bitcoin on the daily just throughout the I keep thinking today is Monday. Ha! That's funny. Well, you know what? With Monday off yesterday, I felt obligated either way to do a little Bitcoin for right now. So, we're probably going to touch upon this come tomorrow, and then on Friday we'll circle back. All right, but otherwise, with the other coins, looking at Ethereum, just continuing to move with Bitcoin, if not even more on the way down. So here's the Ethereum to Bitcoin chart. This is Ethereum's correlation with Bitcoin. So, I was pretty bearish on Ethereum in particular about 2 weeks ago when it failed to break higher, and it ended up actually making a bearish close on, it was either the daily or the weekly. Well, since that time, we haven't really had too big of a move back up. This ended up moving back up to the 100 and 200 EMAs on what is my 6 hour graph. But then right back down it goes. I did mention a little bit of Dogecoin, not baby Doge, but I did mention the regular Dogecoin. And I was hopeful for a nice move up here. But with Bitcoin beginning to pull back over the last 6 to 12 hours, well, when Bitcoin drops, most other altcoins end up dropping off actually a bit further. So with Doge, we ended up seeing this begin to pull back down a bit, still trying to hold over the 100 and 200 EMAs. So, we'll see what happens across this week with this. And then lastly, the only other one I wanted to comment on here was my Cardano ADA. I don't have a position in Doge. I don't have a position in Ethereum. I've had a position in ADA for the last year and a half, if not 2 years. I have had positions in Phantom FTM, which we have not covered today, but we probably will do throughout this week. And I'm holding on to that for right now. But yeah, with ADA, most altcoins ended up dropping off with Bitcoin over the last 12 to 24 hours. Most, not all. And Cardano is one that ended up going against the grain at first. Now it's beginning to pull back here over the last, 6 or so hours, 6 or 12 hours, perhaps you could say. All right, so these are the ones I'll probably keep more of a focus on throughout the week. And then otherwise, probably some Phantom FTM in there too. All right, so folks, I think that just about wraps things up from you all together. If there's any other last stocks that are popping that we didn't have a chance to go over just yet, type it in the chat board. Let me know. We have Fun moving up. We have DWAC moving up. We have DATS moving up from a few of us between the Cyber Group room and on YouTube. All of those are on the list already, folks. So if there is anything that is not on our list that is moving, like Norman wrote, GMVD. It's moving up nicely. It's up near 18%, trading 1.7 million. It's approaching the highs back from last week, set from Thursday, right off of 420. Interesting. All right, so yeah, GMVD for right now. This one looks good. Michelle says OPK just saw a 520,000 share green print on the tape. at 11:49. The time, not the price, I think. OPK? If so, Michelle, good eye. It's just to say that I got to make sure, and this is actually up a decent chunk right now across the day, up over 6.5%. It's trying to break above this past peak, which I do like, and even furthermore, OPK is a familiar name. We ended up trading them back in the beginning or midway through the pandemic in 2020. Test antibody testing kit company, from what I remember. So all of that I like. I just don't. It's not really looking that volatile right now, and I mean that in a bad way. I would want to have this move a little bit faster for right now, and it isn't. So for right now, I'll keep this on the side list. It's definitely tradable by all measures. Michelle says that price was at $4.90. Ooh, it's not showing up on my matrix volume bars here. I'll go through bookbat, Michelle, and I'll take a look here in a bit. All right, but I'll tell you what, folks, I think that just about does it. I think we got them all here otherwise. Just checking my signals page from Benzinga Pro, and I don't see anything else. So we don't need to add anything else, folks. I think that we're all good to go here. So all in all, we have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 stocks to work with. Actually, a pretty decently big list. All right, so I'm going to type and tweet these out to everybody right now for all of us on Facebook Live, YouTube, Facebook Live. I appreciate you sticking with me each and every day, each and every afternoon. If you have any other questions that you would like to ask, feel more than free to send it on over to my email address. Send it right to josh@cttrading.com. Otherwise, if you wanted to continue the audio commentary today, tomorrow, throughout this week, or next, feel more than free to go right down to the link on the banner below just to sign up for a small trial to our live trading room. But for Patrick, Ari, Leda, Norman, Mark, Deb, Leda, Sam, all of us otherwise, I look forward to talking to everybody coming up right at 3:30 Eastern time later on today. Take care.